Good afternoon. I'm Walt Hitch. I'm the Center Director here at the University of Tennessee, Plateau AgResearch and Education Center in Crossville, Tennessee. And today we want to highlight one of our animal science research projects. And today we have graduate student Casey Reed. And Casey, would you just introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, I'm Casey Reed. I am a PhD student at the University of Tennessee, Knoxville in Dr. Morey's lab, primarily studying oocyte development within the follicle.
You know, Casey, you mentioned two terms there, oocyte and follicle. Would you care to give us a good definition of those?
So the oocyte is essentially the cow's egg, and the follicle is a blister-like structure on the ovary that contains the oocyte and follicular fluid. The follicular fluid contains necessary nutrients and signaling molecules for that oocyte's development. And as the follicle is growing on the ovary, so too is the oocyte. And it's collecting nutrients and energy from that follicular fluid to help support downstream development as well as early embryo development.
Okay, Casey, thanks. Can you tell us specifically what it is that you study in the oocyte development?
Sure thing. So our lab is primarily interested in what makes a good oocyte, primarily related to energy availability. Just like humans need to eat breakfast to get through the day's tasks, the oocyte needs to store adequate supplies of energy to get through development and early embryo development. So just as you would run out of energy if you skipped breakfast, the oocyte will run out of energy if it doesn't create those adequate energy stockpiles, and pregnancy will not be established because embryo development will just stall out.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I'm sure we can all relate to running out of energy by not having enough to eat. It's really neat to see how that relates to something as small as an oocyte. Tell me how this can relate to producers.
There's some assisted reproductive techniques like fixed-time artificial insemination and in vitro fertilization that cause a subset of cattle to have decreased pregnancy rates. Our lab thinks that this decreased pregnancy rate is possibly due to decreased energy available in the oocyte. Like I mentioned earlier, that decreased energy stockpiles within the oocyte causes that embryo's development to stall out, and then no pregnancy is established.
Okay, you started that by mentioning a term, assisted reproductive techniques, reproduction techniques. Can you explain that a little more?
Our lab uses an estrus synchronization protocol that's commonly combined with fixed-time artificial insemination protocols. However, instead of inseminating the cattle, we perform ovum pickup to remove the oocyte as well as the follicular fluid from the dominant follicle. We then analyze the oocyte for mitochondria number and ATP levels, the follicular fluid for different nutrient profiles and hormone levels, and then previously in the experiment during the estrus synchronization protocol, we've been collecting blood samples. We'll analyze those blood samples as well for reproductive hormones.
Okay, what is the purpose of looking at all these different things?
The mitochondria are located within the oocyte and are responsible for producing the energy the oocyte needs. And ATP is that energy substance. So we're looking at these mitochondrial and ATP levels in this subset of cattle that have decreased pregnancy because we think that they have decreased mitochondria and decreased ATP levels, resulting in decreased energy availability to that oocyte and the early embryo, causing that embryo's development to stall out and possibly resulting in the decreased pregnancy rate seen in that subset of cattle.
Okay, for my last question, how does the Plateau AgResearch Center assist you in collecting your data?
Essentially, cattle numbers and extra hands. For my project, I require oocyte samples from a large number of cattle, and Plateau has those cow numbers to make that project a success. We also spend many days with long hours working those cattle to get those samples, and the Plateau AgResearch Extension Center provides staff who are with us every day, working the cattle alongside us, helping to ensure that my project runs smoothly, and for that I'm very grateful. So thank you.
You're quite welcome. You know, we have several research projects here at the AgResearch Center. During the times of all the coronavirus, we were classified as essential, so we've been here working all the time, and fortunate enough to work with different faculty members and graduate students as they're working on master's thesis and PhD dissertations. And so providing those resources and providing ag research and basically answering questions and providing information